A Work in Progress by Aimee Mullins. A prosthetic is an artificial substitute for a missing body part. Over the past few decades, technology has advanced greatly. Modern prosthetics can often fully replace the function of a missing limb due to the invention of lighter materials and more sophisticated designs. So, 2 weeks ago, I was a bridesmaid, and the reception was actually here at the New York Public Library, and I will never forget this wedding. Yes, it was very beautiful, but more importantly, I survived the slick marble floors that are all over this building. Tile and marble floors are public enemy number one to a stiletto loving girl like me, and I had 5-inch heels on that night. Most people learn to walk in very high heels. They bend their ankles so that the ball of the foot touches the ground first. You have more stability. I don't have ankles, so I hit each step on the stiletto, which makes the possibility of the banana peel wipeout very likely. But given the choice between practicality and theatricality, I say, go big or go home, man. Go down in flames if you're going to go. I guess I'm a bit of a daredevil. I think that the nurses at DuPont Institute would agree. I spent a lot of time there as a child. Doctors amputated both of my legs below the knee when I was an infant. And then when I was 5, I had a major surgery to correct the wonky direction in which my tibia was growing. So I had 2 metal pins to hold that, full plaster casts on both legs. I had to use a wheelchair because I couldn't wear prosthetics. One of the best things about getting out of the hospital is the anticipation of the day you return to school. I had missed so much class, I just couldn't wait to get back and see all my friends. But my teacher had a different idea about that. She tried to prevent me from returning to class because she said that in a condition I was inappropriate, and that I would be a distraction to the other students, which of course I was, but not because of the cast in the wheelchair. Clearly, she needed to make my difference invisible because she wanted to control her environment and make it fit into her idea of what normal looked like. And I would have been a lot easier, and it would have been a lot easier for me to fit into what normal looked like. I know I wanted that back then, but instead I had these wooden legs with a rubber foot that the toes broke off of, and they were held on with a big bolt that rusted out because I swam in the wooden legs. You're not supposed to swim in the wooden legs because the wood rots out. So there I was in second grade music class doing the twist, and mid twist I hear this makes a lot of cracking sound, and I'm on the floor, and the lower half of my left leg is in splinters across the room. The teacher faints on the piano, and the kids are screaming, and I'm thinking is, my parents are gonna kill me. I broke my leg. It's a mess. But then a few days later, my prosthetist tells me, Amy, we got waterproof legs for you. No more rusty bolts. This is a revelation, right? This is going to change my life. I was so excited to get these legs until I saw them. They're made of polypropylene, which is that white plastic milk jug material. And when I say white, I'm not talking about skin color. I'm talking about the color white. The skin color was the rubber foam foot painted Caucasian, which is the nastiest shade of nuclear peach that you've ever seen in your life. It has nothing to do with any human skin tone on the planet. And then these legs were so good at being waterproof that they were buoyant. So when I'd go off the high dive, I'd go down and come straight back up feet first. They were the bane of my existence. But then we're at the Jersey Shore one summer. By the time we got there, there's 300 yards of towels between me and the sea. And I know this is where I first honed my ability to run really fast. I was the white flash. I didn't want to feel hundreds of pairs of eyes staring at me, and so I'd get myself into the ocean, and I was a good swimmer. But no amount of swimming technique can control buoyant legs. At some point, I get caught up in a rip current, and I'm migrating from my vantage point where I could see my parents' towel, and I'm taking in water, and I'm fighting, and all I could think to do was pop off these legs and put one under each armpit, with the peach feet sticking up, and just bob, thinking someone's got to find me. And a lifeguard did, and I'm sure he will collect for therapy bills. Like they don't show that on Baywatch, but they saved my life, those legs. And when I was 14, it was Easter Sunday, and I was going to be wearing a dress that I had purchased with my own money, the first thing I ever bought that wasn't on sale. Momentous event. You never forget it. I had a paper route since I was 12, and I went to the Limited, and I bought this dress that I thought was the height of sophistication. Sleeveless safari dress, belted, hits at the knee. Coming downstairs into the living room, I see my father waiting to take us to church. He takes one look at me, and he says, that doesn't look right. Go upstairs and change. I was like, what? My super classy dress? What are you talking about? It's the best thing I own. He said, "No, you can see the knee joint where you walk. It doesn't look right. It's inappropriate to go out like that. Go change." And I think something snapped in me. I refused to change, and it was the first time I defied my father. I refused to hide something about myself that was true, and I refused to be embarrassed about something so that other people could feel more comfortable. And I was grounded for that defiance. So after church, the extended family convenes at my grandfather's house, and everybody's complimenting me on how nice I look in this dress. And I'm like, "Really? You think I look nice?" Because my parents think I look inappropriate. I outed them. Kind of mean, really. But I think the public utterance of this idea that I should somehow hide myself was so shocking to hear that it changed their mind about why they were doing it. And I had always managed to get through life with somewhat of a positive attitude. But I think this was the start of me being able to accept myself. Okay, I'm not normal. I have strengths, I've got weaknesses. It is what it is. And I had always been athletic, but it wasn't until college that I had started this adventure in track and field. I had gone through a lifetime of being given legs that just barely got me by. And I thought, well, maybe I'm just having the wrong conversations with the wrong people. Maybe I need to go find people who say, yes, we can create anything for you in the space between where your leg ends and the ground. And so I started working with engineers, fashion designers, sculptors, Hollywood prosthetic makeup artists, wax museum designers to build legs for me. I decided I wanted to be the fastest woman in the world on artificial legs, and I was lucky enough to arrive in track at just the right time to be the first person to get these radical sprinting legs modeled after the hind leg of a cheetah, the fastest thing that runs, woven carbon fiber. I was able to set 3 world records with those legs, and they made no attempt at approximating humanness. Then I get these incredibly lifelike silicone legs, hand painted, capillaries and veins. And hey, I can be as tall as I want to be, so I get different legs for different heights. I don't have to shave. I can wear open toed shoes in the winter. And most importantly, I can opt out of the cankles I most certainly would have inherited genetically. And then I get these legs made for me by the late, great Alexander McQueen. And they were hand carved of solid ash with grapevines and magnolias all over them and a 6-inch heel. And I was able to walk the runways of the world with supermodels. I was suddenly in this whirlwind of adventure and excitement. I was being invited to go around the world and speak about these adventures and how I had legs that looked like glass, legs covered in feathers, porcelain legs, jellyfish legs, all wearable sculptures. And I get this call from a guy who had seen me speak later years ago when I was at the beginning of my track career, and he says, "We loved it. We want you to come back." And it was clear to me he didn't know all these amazing things that had happened to me since my sports career. So as I'm telling him, he says, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, hold on, Aimee. The reason everybody liked you all those years ago was because you were this sweet, vulnerable, naive girl. And if you walk on stage today and you are this polished young woman with too many accomplishments, I'm afraid they won't like you." For real, he said that. Wow. He apparently didn't think I was vulnerable enough now. He was asking me to be a little more downtrodden. He was asking me to disable myself for him and his audience. And what was so shocking to me about that was that I realized I had moved past mere acceptance of my difference. I was having fun with my differences. Thank God I'm not normal. I get to be extraordinary. And I'll decide what is a weakness and what is a strength. And so I refused his request. And a few days later, I'm walking in downtown Manhattan at a street fair, and I get this tug on my shirt. And I look down. It's this little girl I met a year earlier when she was at a pivotal moment in her life. She had been born with a brittle bone disease that resulted in her left leg being 7 centimeters shorter than her right. She wore a brace and orthopedic shoes, and they got her by, but she wanted to do more. And like all internet savvy kindergartners, she gets on the computers and Googles new leg, and she comes up with dozens of images of prosthetics, many of them mine. And she prints them out, goes to school, does show and tell on it, comes home, and makes a startling pronouncement to her parents. "I want to get rid of my bad leg," she says. "When can I get a new leg?" And ultimately, that was the decision her parents and doctors made for her. So here she was, 6 months after the amputation, and right there in the middle of the street fair, she hikes up her jeans to show me her cool new leg. And it's pink, and it's tattooed with characters of High School Musical 3, complete with red sequin Mary Janes on her feet. And she was proud of it. She was proud of herself. And the marvelous thing was that this 6-year-old understood something that it took me 20-something years to get, but that we both did discover, that when we can celebrate and truly own what it is that makes us different, we're able to find the source of our greatest creative power.